Center Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to Jackie's Groove. Hey, this is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're in to all things music. Guys, it's Emerging Mondays, series number 9, in an ongoing quest to pay it forward, per se, to help the young'uns out there that are making inruns in this crazy thing called the music business. And I'm excited today because the gentleman I have on the line, I consider a little brother. Met him going on, believe it or not, almost 10 years ago when he was playing at a local venue. I was just newly moved out here from Orange County. I wanted to find out what the music scene out here was all about. Some friends said, you got to go check out this group called Master Splinter and the Shredders. And I said, well, you guys know I'm not into, hard edge rock and so on. And I was told, no, you got to see these guys. They're amazing young guys that basically are known to be playing the B-side of the hits. And we're talking the B-side of Zeppelin and Van Halen, Journey, and so on. I mentioned Journey because it pisses off Anthony Ryer, the former drummer, and, of course, my in-studio guest. And so with that said, guys, I thought I knew everything about this man, but we're going to talk about 2 new ventures that are under his belt, and we're going to talk in depth with that. So with that said, guys, welcome to Emerging Mondays, and I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove, my little brother, Brennan Kilpatrick. Brennan, welcome, brother.
How's it going, Jackie? It's good to be here, man.
And, man, I'm so happy, man. I'm giving you that virtual hug through the phone. You know how I feel about you and your family. But as I said earlier, man, I know all about you, and I've been around the Midnight Satellites and Master Splinter and the Shredders, which is the same band, if you will, MSATs, for those who know.
Right.
For those who don't know, get used to it. Yeah, it's the alter egos itself. And but I'm really curious to find out, and so is Cappy. And by the way, Cappy says, Cappy! So only people who know us know that situation. Exactly. So I want to know all about this, brother. Let's talk about first, the Crooked Stones, and then we'll follow up with Darkhaven. And
okay.
I want to find out what's going on about that. Before we step into that, listen to tell the listeners out there worldwide, and also friends and family who know Brennan, where were you born and where were you raised, brother? Share with us.
I was born in Long Beach, California, and I was raised in basically just Southern California, Long Beach, Yorba Linda, Temecula. I recently moved to Oceanside, so I haven't traveled that far outside of just a couple tours and trips and stuff. So.
Yeah, man. When I said, have you ever grown up? I know the answer to that. You've never grown up, brother, and don't ever.
No, I have not, man. I have not. I have too much fun in life to grow up, You
got to take yourself unseriously, man, or you get bored real quick. Hey, you know what, man? I didn't have the pleasure of growing up. I grew up with a musical family who loved music, but no one who played music. On the other side of the coin, it's just the opposite with you, because your father, Bill Kilpatrick, is an amazing guitarist / vocalist. And so with that said, I want to find out what was coming through the Kilpatrick speakers when you and your brother Ryan and sister Shannon were growing up. What were you forced to listen to, or what were you not forced to listen to? What were you enjoying?
That's a great question. When we were kids, I specifically remember the Beatles and Michael Jackson's Thriller being played all the time in the car. My father is a big Yes fan, so I definitely heard every single Yes album probably 10 times, Wow. He listened almost exclusively to Yes when it wasn't the Beatles or Michael Jackson when we were little kids. I know he's a big Clapton fan as well.
Right.
And but it was cool, my mother is a pianist as well, and neither of them ever really like forced any music on us. They didn't even really force any of us to start playing music. It was all very like they were the kind of parents that I think they wanted to let us find what we wanted to do on our own. But the second we did that, they were extremely supportive. And I remember, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was pretty young, maybe 9 years old, and I just was hanging out with my dad. He was chilling on the couch playing guitar one afternoon, and I just said, "Hey, Dad, I want to do that too." And next Christmas, I had a guitar under the Christmas tree, and both my parents have been extremely supportive of me, following music. So.
Now, Brennan, was guitar your first instrument of choice? Is that the first thing that then landed up in your arms and your fingers?
Yeah, actually it was. It was love at first strum, man. Yeah,
no doubt.
I mean, I joke around with friends that I'm like one of the worst drummers you would ever meet. I'm terrible at the drums. I mess around on piano a little bit. I can, play other like stringed instruments like bass and ukulele, but really guitar has kind of just been it. It's been the thing for me. Once I started that, I really never had an itch to jump into something else in its place.
Well, it proves the fact by the way you play. Brother, there's one thing about this business, or the thing called music business. You don't always have to stand on your own 2 feet. You can be a shitty player, a shitty vocalist, and so on, and it's all who you know. But in this case, I want to utilize nepotism to the 10th degree. What I mean by that is, even though you and I aren't blood, and that goes along with your bandmates and former bandmates, and again, I'll go through them again: Salvador Spinelli, Anthony Raya, your brother Ryan Kilpatrick, and then of course picking up the pace now, Mike Garza and Nick Sywert, and the guys will always be my family itself. So I'm putting my best foot forward. I'm squeezing you guys in because we are now booked until mid-November of Emerging Mondays, and nice. And I got Anthony's coming up soon, and so on. And if you don't know that, Anthony actually had an audition for Blue Man Group, and he got called back. So fingers crossed. That's why we had to sub his gig with Joanna Pearl. So I'm here to help out all my little brothers and little sisters out in the industry itself, because I had many Jackies growing up in the industry, the people to put me their best foot forward. And what I said about you on the first set about being, I'll say it again, a library of music. When I had the opportunity and a great time to join you, Midnight Satellites, at the House of Blues in Los Angeles, up in the Foundation Room. If you remember that rainy November,
I do.
We killed it, brother. It was standing room only, and when we finished up, one of the bartenders was more towards my age, and he said, "Hey, man," he goes, "these kids are amazing, man." He goes, where do they get or garner the nerve to play the music that they played?" And we're talking songs like Alphonse Mouzon, and we're talking about, again, the B-sides of everything else. And he says, "Man," he goes, "this is the second time they were here, and we couldn't believe how many employees downstairs got off and came back upstairs and tried to get in to see the group." And I said, "Yeah, but that's the way the boys are, man." And I had the pleasure of recording all of your albums, man, and that makes me proud. Yeah. And so on again too. You couldn't pay me enough money if the music wasn't good. I firmly believe in it, and I'll play for free if the music is right. And the music is right, man. And the song that we started off the top of the set with, what was that, and who was that? And give us the genesis of that tune, if you'd be so kind, my brother.
Absolutely. That was a song called Bliss. That's by the new project that I formed with my good friend and writing partner Brandon McLaughlin. By the Crooked Stones. That's the name of the group. I almost forgot to say that part. So yeah, Bliss by the Crooked Stones was that song. A really cool tune, man. We're very, I feel, entrenched in like this 90s kind of alternative grunge rock kind of sound. And that song is very much, I think like the attitude and the kind of lyrical approach to it is just kind of like, don't take life too seriously. Sometimes you really have to ignore all the bullshit and all the static going on around you, because that stuff can really kind of, take its toll in a negative way if you allow it to. So just sometimes you really have to take a step back and let all that stuff go to really enjoy life. So yeah, really, really cool tune. And I think that's a great first track to listen to if you've never heard the Crooked Stones. And then from there you can work into some of our other stuff.
And share where the name came from, the Crooked Stones. Is there any backstory on that name?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of a funny story. So, Brandon and I were bouncing name ideas back and forth off of each other. And, I said something about, maybe like the Crooked Kings would be cool. And Brandon had, everything that we write, it's all like 21st century. We just email stuff back and forth in our drives and then, kind of piece the songs together from there. So Brandon had named the folder in the drive the Stone Front just randomly before we even had a name. And then I was like, but the Stone Front could be a cool name. And then Brandon said, why don't we just combine those two ideas and call it the Crooked Stones? And it's kind of perfect because it's our twist, it's our take on rock and roll. Like, we're the Crooked Stones, if you will. So that's what sort of spawned that name.
Well, there you have it, kids, and there goes the answer. So if people wanted to find out what that was, and now you know. And I want to find out a couple things too. But if you can answer the question for me, brother, as I asked about before about the inspirations and so on and so forth, you explained to me about the Beatles, the Stones, and so on. But let's step back for one more second regarding inspirations. If I was to hijack your music player right now, albeit your car or your phone or whatever it may be, what's in your rotation right now?
Okay. I'm gonna give you a 2-part answer to that.
Go ahead.
So in my car right now, I would say you would get a healthy dose of actually a brand new band I've been really getting into is a band called Highly Suspect. Friend Kayla Hudson told me about them, and I've been really enjoying their stuff. Queens of the Stone Age, Soundgarden. Listening to a little bit of Dark Haven. I gotta rep our stuff sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
Smashing Pumpkins, like definitely a lot of 90s stuff is what really is what really kind of was the inspiration, I guess, behind the Crooked Stones. So I'd say a good deal of that, and a little bit of Mastodon too. A little bit of Mastodon in there.
Let me ask you this question, brother. There's nothing wrong with listening to your own music. I was taught years ago by my mentor, Paulinho da Costa, the most recorded percussionist in the history of music. He said, in his Brazilian accent, which I won't even try to attempt, but he said, put together a mixtape, not a romantic mixtape, a mixtape of the songs that you've recorded in throughout your history to the current day. Yeah. And then put it away for a little while, put the CD away, and then when you're going to take a long drive, just kind of by memory, pop it in. He goes, and all of a sudden, let me give you a bit of advice of all the hits that he's played on over the years. He says, when you're listening to the music and you're really enjoying the music, the songs, and you're loving the percussionist that's on there, and then you stop and realize the fact that that's you, that's when you know you're in a comfortable position.
Yeah.
And I asked that question. I'm going to ask that question to you when you listen to Midnight Satellites or Master Splinter and Shredders, when you listen to this stuff that's been professionally recorded, not just something on a voice memo, and when it's inked and when it's done and when it's pressed and it's out there. Have you ever popped it back into your player, your headphones on, when you have time to relax and smile and say, you know what? The shit was right. Or did you say, fuck, how did I let that shit get out there? Share with me that.
That's a good question, man. I would say I've done that pretty much with anything we've kind of worked on. You listen to it so much when you're working on it and just, developing it, that it almost gets like convoluted to where you have to take a break from listening to it and then come back to it like a month, 6 months later, whatever it is, and you get to hear it with fresh ears, and it's kind of cool because you hear it in a different way and you're a little more objective. Sure. I would say more often than not, like stoked on it, proud of it. Occasionally, I wouldn't say there's ever been anything that I was like, oh man, like this sucks. What were we thinking? But maybe you have different ideas. Maybe this would have been cool here, or you think of like another vocal harmony, or maybe we should have ended the song this way. I remember with the Master Splinter and the Shredders EP that we did, the one with Drug Me on it, that was a thought that we all kind of shared after the fact was, some of these songs could have been shorter. some of these songs we could have ended right here, and we went into like this cool bridge and a bunch of solos, and it was fun, but we were objective enough to realize, maybe we could have tapered some of these off a little bit and had a stronger track. And I think we tried to apply that with the follow-up record, because a lot of those songs were a little bit shorter, and we just tried to not do too much with them,
Radio friendly, if you will, and I say that because I know when I listen to stuff that I've played on, stuff that was either not a hit or songs that I've been blessed with to be hits, and I can really honestly and truly say I was really, really happy, because me, when I go in the studio with you guys, I give you more percussion than you ask for, and that gives you the ability to move things around and so on and so forth. That's been my mainstay for all these years. And so I really can't sit there and say, you can give as much shit as you want on a recording, but it's what ends up on the album. And thankfully, through my years of playing, majority of everything I put down ends up on the album. But with that said, you being the guitar player, you being the voice, if you will, the strings, when you put down your overdubs, when you put down your leads and such and so on, when you are in the studio, are you even being produced by a producer? Are you easy to get along with, or are you a difficult study in the studio?
Another good question. I would say that I'm a lot easier to get along with now than I used to be. I used to be a pain in the ass, dude.
Myself, and I'm right there with you.
Yeah, dude. So I'm better now at trying to really listen to what someone's saying and not getting tunnel vision on my idea or what I think something should be.
Right.
If I feel really strongly about something, I will speak my mind about it and voice that. But for the most part, I've gotten I would like to think I've gotten better at pumping the brakes and really hearing someone else's idea before just immediately going, no, I want it this way, or there needs to be a guitar solo there.
Brennan, and speaking of pumping the brakes, I got to pump them on this segment. You see how fast these things go. So in this last 20 seconds, man, we want to pick up where we left off when we come back on segment number 2 and we step out of segment number 1. Again, my name is Jackie Bertoni. The show is called Jackie's Groove, and we're brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. And I'm talking to my little brother, guitarist extraordinaire and a hell of a nice guy, Mr. Brennan Kilpatrick. Brennan, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the short break, and we're going to pick up where we left off. So don't go anywhere, kids. If you use the restroom, do so. If you're driving, good luck. So with that said, guys, we'll be right back after the short break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
The Moyer Entertainment Group, in conjunction with Daddario, Radio Airplay, and Looploft, is keeping music in our local schools and presenting local talent to the world through the Temecula Valley Music Awards. Submissions for entry into the TVMA 2017 season are now open in all genres, including a youth category for artists under 18 for the October 7th Star-Studded Awards Show, where 100% of the proceeds go towards supporting local music education in the Temecula Valley. Details, tvmawards.org.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Todd Zuckerman from the rock band Styx, and you're listening to my pal Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove. Groove on, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to segment number 2 of Jackie's Groove. Hey guys, it's Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio. You're into all things music. Hey guys, do yourselves a favor, and most importantly, do us a favor. When you can't listen to Jackie's Groove and the plethora of other shows that we have on our amazing network, go to Google Play or go to iTunes and download our easy-to-use and easy-to-navigate application, which is free. 2 words, Intertalk first, radio second. So you can take Jackie's Groove and the shows on our network with you when you can't listen live. But guys, we're live today. Series number 9 of Emerging Mondays with my little brother, Brennan Kilpatrick. Brennan, welcome back, brother boy. You know, when we were on the break, I asked this situation because I got to ask a lot of guys that are still in the emerging stage, if you will. But you've been around the business long enough because of Dad, Bill. But with that said, and the situations with, you're not so much in the millennials anymore. You stepped above that age, and those kids who don't know what it's like to pay for music because it's all about streaming. And the fact is now we find ourselves in my age bracket and your dad's age bracket that if we're not in a music genre other than touring and such, it's kind of hard, man, because you're not making music, not making money on music by selling it. You obviously have got to go out and support it, and and all the concessions and so on. But with that said, and you being in the business long enough because Dad's been in it, and even though music is not changing on a yearly basis, it's changing on a monthly basis now, which is kind of scary or it's beneficial. So with that said, do you understand the music business of today? Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic about it? Share with us.
Well, yeah, I grew up at an interesting time because, I was buying the first couple albums that I got were on cassette tapes, and then that changed to compact discs, and then so I've kind of seen that progression. Obviously, I wasn't there when LPs were the big thing, but
right.
Yeah, I think cautiously optimistic. It's a very interesting situation because, like you said, a lot of people don't want to pay for music. People want music to be free.
Right.
And on top of that,
bullshit.
I find that right. And I also find that people's attention spans are extremely short now. And I don't think that's just music. I think that's just in general, like of course. People want instant gratification and they want to hear like a catchy chorus. And, some people just sit there and bounce around like between stations. They don't even listen to the same group for a couple songs in a row. So it is, right. It can be challenging to get somebody's attention. There's so much out there and there's so many ways to listen and to get stuff for free that it is kind of hard just to stick out. But then on the flip side, it's easier than ever to record an album and to technically put it out there. It's cheaper than it was before, I've been on both sides of the fence of spending time in a big studio and investing a lot of money into it. And then now the last Darkhaven record that we just did and the Crooked Stone stuff that we're doing, Brandon and I, for the most part, like 95% of the way, have done it all entirely in our home studios. So that part's been really awesome and convenient. So, it's interesting. There's things that are great about it and there's things that are terrible about it too. And and I'm not really sure where it's going to end up eventually, you know?
And that's so cool that you just brought this up, Bees, because I just interviewed earlier, won't be aired until Wednesday, with the founder, one of the co-founders of the greatest rock band with horns called Chicago. I had this amazing interview this morning with Lee Loughnane. He's the trumpet player. They just celebrated 50 years, and they're selling out arenas to this day. There's a reason for it, because it's real fucking music played by real fucking people with real fucking instruments. Bottom line.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That stuff endures. And the thing is that blew me away that the current album by Chicago is called Now, N-O-W. And I thought it was, I didn't think, I know for a fact that the horns were all tracked in beautiful 5-star suites when the band was on their tour the last couple of years. And then I find out from Lee, not just the horns, but the whole album was recorded in hotel rooms, and even a couple tracks backstage on a venue before they went on. And the bottom line is, did they do that because they can't afford it? No, these men are all multimillionaires. And as I asked Lee, what do you contribute to 50 years of longevity? And he responded by saying this morning, because we love to play music. And the same thing, too, with, you know, my dear friend Michael McDonald. He's got a new album coming out, actually came out on the 15th, called Wide Open, his first album in 9 years of all original music. And check this out, B. He released it all, and he's released it also on a 33 on an album. And that's what's really, really cool. I mean, of course, obviously with the digital downloads and CDs and such. And he recorded 100% analog. And also stepping back with the intro on the second segment with Todd Sucherman, the drummer from the iconic rock group called Styx. They just released their first album 2 months ago called The Mission, the first album in 14 years. They recorded it at a great studio, one of the most prestigious studios in Nashville, called Blackbird, where their microphones alone are worth over $1 million, B. And they released it all on analog. They also brought back out of the archive their old instruments so they can get that same sound that they got 20 years ago. And they succeeded by doing so. And with that said, you know, especially as deep in music that you are, and the fact that you moved, Trader, from Temecula area back down to Oceanside, when you left this area, even though you're 45 minutes away, are you still with the great music store called Riffs? Are you still doing any work with them in teaching?
Yeah. I'm not doing nearly as much as I used to be, but I am still there on Mondays. And
cool.
I can't say enough great things about Riffs, and Rex Hull, the owner.
Give him a shout out.
He really got me started in teaching. I don't think I would be where I'm at with teaching if it wasn't for him. Not just giving me the opportunity to teach, but really helping me along with something I had never done before. And I wanted to do it, but I was apprehensive. I was like, I've never done it. I don't know where to start.
Sure.
And he kind of helped me build like a lesson plan. And I love Riffs. I'm teaching now at a place in Vista called the Forte Academy of the Arts as well, some of the other days during the week. So that's a little closer to home. So yeah, I'm just kind of splitting time between here and there and keeping them both going.
Yeah, man, your bandmate Sal Spinelli is still teaching vocal lessons over at Riffs also. So by all means, give them a shout out. They're here in Marietta, guys. They're actually in the same parking lot shared with Guitar Center. I refer more people there because of the quality they have there. So let's step back for a second. I want to ask this question because since Dad was one of your inspirations, probably it's safe to say probably your biggest inspiration. But with that said, let's move all the way forward to the current stuff. Like the last song we came off, the break one from Dark Haven, and then prior to that from the Crooked Stones. And we're going to be finishing up the third segment with a song that I recorded on, one of my greatest songs called Status Quo for Midnight Satellites, or MSATs. But I'm going to ask you this question. Has Dad ever sat down with you? Have you ever had a private listening release party with Dad and to get his actual opinion? Has Dad given you the thumbs up or has he given you the middle finger on some of the stuff that you put out? How does Dad approach your music?
Both. He's done both of the things you just said.
I asked that because I know your father. That's because I know that he's not going to hold anything back.
Yeah, he doesn't pull any punches. I remember specifically we recorded, this was way back, I was maybe 19 or 20. We recorded some Darkhaven stuff, and we did it at a studio called Dinky Music, which I don't believe is there anymore, but with a really cool dude named Billy Stevens. And we had done this song, and I remember I was really excited to show him, and we got in my car in the driveway, and I put it on, and he listened to it, and he just said to me afterwards, I thought the production was going to be better. And that was like it. And I was like, I was totally crushed for a second, but then it made me kind of listen to it and go, he's right. Like, it should be better. And it wasn't the studio's fault. It was our own fault, because we were trying to, we had our hands too much in the mix. Let's put it that way. We were, turn the guitars up here and I wanted more distortion there. And, with our next recording venture, we went into it with a little bit more of the mindset of, the engineer knows better than we do, so let's let him decide how he's going to EQ this stuff. And it came out way better. The Crooked Stone stuff, he's given me some great feedback. He's really been enjoying the songs I've shared, so I've been stoked about that. And he's always been a big fan of the Midnight Satellites original stuff as well. So,
I say that because your father has been he's still involved heavily with the NAMM Foundation. In fact, your father graciously introduced me to a gentleman at NAMM. His name is Dan Del Friantino. Your dad introduced me 2 years ago to him at NAMM, and we've since become very, very, very heavily involved with Intertalk Radio, Jackie's Groove, and the NAMM Foundation. We're very heavily involved. We're going to start posting stuff more online, when we get the go-ahead. I know myself, for 2 days out of NAMM this coming 2018, I'm having a great thing called the Drummers Roundtable. And it will be 10 of the prolific drummers / percussionists in the industry. And, we're talking about the who's who, the Nico Brains, the Liberty DeVitos, the Garibaldis, all the guys that have recorded on every single hit that's on the radio. We're really, really excited about it. So I'll let you know more about it, and I'm sure Dad will tell you more about it when he gets the information. So with that said, Bill, thank you very much. And Bill, thank you for putting your best foot forward for Jackie's Groove. And through that, our extension of being part of the NAMM family is amazing. So, and those who don't know what NAMM is, it's a National Association of Music Merchants held every January here, the Winter NAMM in Anaheim, and then the Summer NAMM in Nashville. So let's get back to this for a second, brother. I want to talk about, when you're walking on stage, and I don't care if it's with MSATs, with Darkhaven, or the Crooked Stones, are you still getting the quintessential butterflies in your stomach when you walk on stage? And not to misconstrue the fact it's nervous. It's actual music, music, not anxiety, but just being pumped. Do you still get that feeling when you're walking on? I don't care what size the venue it is, small or large. Share with me on that.
Yeah, I do. I really do love to play, and that's always been the number one reason, really, to do any of the stuff I've done has been to eventually get on stage and play the stuff live.
Right.
I don't normally get nervous. It's funny. If you put me in front of like two people and told me to play a song by myself, I would be nervous as shit. But put me in front of like 500 people on a big stage and I'm fine. I will say, Darkhaven was formed in like 2004, and we were active up until I think like 2009 or 2010 before we broke up. And then we got back together last year. So the first show back with Darkhaven, that was the most nervous I've been for a performance in a long time. And I think it was just because, that myself, Brandon, Nate, the three of us hadn't gotten on stage and played together since like 2007 or something like that.
Was the regrouping like a best friend? Did it feel like you guys picked up where you left off? Was like any space missing, or was the transition as smooth as possible? How was that getting back with the guys?
I would say it was really smooth. Brandon and I, we did have a falling out. We were both total assholes to each other at a certain period, which happens a lot in bands. And it took us a little while, but we had mended that relationship. We had mended that friendship already. So once we started sending some music back and forth, we were already there. We were already comfortable. And Nate was super excited to do shows with us. We got we weren't able to get the entire original lineup, but we got my good friend and former student Hunter Delbridge P on board as the second guitarist, which Darkhaven isn't.
He's coming on the
really,
show.
Nice.
Yeah, he's coming on the show. Yeah, man.
And I'm so proud of that kid, dude. It was so cool just standing on stage and looking over and being like, I'm here playing a Darkhaven show, a band that we started when I was 18, and I've got my former student, on stage left here. I think he was 20 at the time when we did the first show, and that was a really cool moment. So,
the thing about Hunter, don't you have a feeling like this? And mark my words, 20 years from now, you're going to look over to your right or your left, and Hunter still can look like he's going to look like he's 15.
Absolutely.
And he's got that Dick Clark disease, man. And, but he's such a prolific player, man. Once again, very much in the genre of your style, man, of having a young man with an old soul of music and understanding that situation, And and like you, like Sal, like everybody in the band, you guys, I don't consider assholes, ASKHOLEs. And what that is a person who asks for opinions and then it takes somebody else. Every time I've opened my mouth and I've put my best foot forward, you guys have taken everything I've said and you've taken it to heart and you've implemented it in your system and it's worked for you. And I appreciate that, man. And again, too, I don't ever feel obligated to tell you guys because I know the shit that you went through on the last Midnight Satellites album with our friend, mutual producer, John. We won't get into that right now, but that was a psychological mind fuck that wasn't necessary. But, the bottom line is, after it was all said and done and after all the punches were thrown, I think everybody came out of it unscathed, other than a little bit of egos beat up. But the album turned out fucking amazing to me. And that's in my
bottom line, again, I agree.
Yeah. And when we come back on the third segment, we're going to be starting it out. And I'm going to ask Paul if he play a little bit longer segment of Status Quo. I love that song, man. I love what they did to your voice. I just love the whole vibe of it itself. And so as we're stepping out, believe this or not, Brennan, we're coming out of, segment number 2. And also I want to put it out there. Have your brothers give me a call, man. Not your brother, Ryan. He's going to be scheduled for the show. But the boys from Darkhaven and also the boys from the Crooked Stones. And let's see if we can get them on the show and let's get them a chance to put the best foot forward and they can motherfuck you and talk about you on the radio. And see what an asshole that you really were. Because you know what, man? We were all assholes. And trust me, I learned my lesson at a young age. And believe me, I never went back and made that mistake again. And but you know what? Yeah. No, it's like Mama said, welcome mistakes as long as you learn from them. So if we only listened to our parents more growing up, we'd be in a much better position financially and or mentally, I would say. So with that said, guys, post some questions to us on Intertalk Radio on the live stream with regards to anything you want. If it's appropriate, we'll ask Brennan. And if it's not appropriate, we're still going to ask Brennan. So we'll go from that. So on segment number 3, we got to get back, and it's going to be all about how to stalk this young man and where to find his music and so on and so forth. So with that said, as we step out of segment number 2, going into number 3, this is Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Guys, don't go anywhere. Short break. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion, which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to series number 9 called Emerging Mondays on Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. Guess who this is? It's Jackie Bertoni, man, and guess who I'm talking to? Brennan Kilpatrick and a group called Midnight Satellites and a song called Status Quo. We're going to get more back into that. How's that for bad grammar? More back. But I do got to do some business right now. I must do some business and thank our sponsors who keep this crazy ship afloat. First and foremost, our dear friends of ours, Calvin Lee and his motley crew over at Pitbull Audio. You can reach them at pitbullaudio.com, and their moniker is, we just want you to play it loud. Thank you guys for your support. And also, I want to thank all of my dear friends over at Vater Percussion, VATER.com. The gentleman and the company has been putting good wood in my hands, kind of like that little bit of a pun there, if you will, for the past 24 years. And that's Vater.com. Thank you guys. I love you. And also to Sabian Cymbals, SABIAN Cymbals are at Sabian.com. They've been giving me the splash and crash in my life for the past 25 years. And DW Drum Workshop, the world's largest drum manufacturer. And John Good and Dawn and Chris Lombardi and Esther Good, thank you guys for your support and the love of our company and somebody I'm most biased to. My percussion company going on 28 years, lpmusic.com. Terry, and also with John Good and Don Lombardi and Jerry Zacharias and Derek Zimmerman. Thank you for your belief. Okay, long-winded. We're done. We paid some bills. Brennan, you know what? None of us can do this by ourselves, even though we try to be a standalone situation. As much as we try to grab things by the bull by the horns and stand on our own 2 feet, we can't do it. You make yourself crazy and you spread yourself out too thin. But even with a great team, and my great team I'm talking about is my group at Intertalk Radio. And we're talking about my artist relations manager, Candy Estep, and also we've got Cedric, and we've got Megan, and we've got Alex, who handles our books, and we've got Paul Berzetsky, our COO and engineer, and the gentleman that stands at the top of this heap, if you will, the CEO of our network, my dear friend. You know him personally, Brennan, and I'm going to bring him on because he asked me personally, can I come on and say hi to Brennan? I said, do I have a choice? He said, no. So with that said, do me a favor, Brendan, say hi to the big chief, Florentino Buenaventura. Florentino, say hi to this little svelte boy named Brennan Kilpatrick.
That's grand poobah to you, sir.
There you go.
What's up, Brandon? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing, Florentino?
It's been a long time since we did one of these together, right?
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, the NAMM museum performance area was the last time.
Yeah,
pretty amazing. And
that was a great event.
It was fun. It was definitely one of the highlights of the Radio Band Diego series, which we're looking at kicking back off again. So maybe we have to get right back in touch since we left off with you guys. You might be the ones that we come back on with. So I will keep you abreast as that moves forward. Probably sometime in the February timeframe. So after that, so
that'd be awesome.
And speaking of that, I got a little story. This is kind of a fun story. We went to NAMM and we were talking about doing some stuff, and we actually did an interview with Joe, Lamont, who is the CEO, and after we were doing that, we were taking a little tour, and Brennan's dad basically was part of that tour because he's part of the museum and he works there, and and we were talking about this show just like we are talking about right now, Radio Band Diego. We were about ready to start that, and we were looking at finding talent that would be good to feature, and he says, hey, my sons have a band. And I'm like, oh man, I really hope these guys are good, because if not, I don't want to tell Bill this is not going to work. So I was like, okay. And, because you get that from people, you're always like, hey, can you feature my kid who, just started singing on your radio network? And like, I feel for you, but you got to get a little bit farther down the line. So I didn't know how old you guys were and anything, but I get the CD from your dad, and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are freaking awesome. I was like, cool score. Finally, you get a recommendation that you feel really strongly about. And we brought you guys on, and we did it live with Johanna Pearl, who was on, was it last week, Jackie, that Johanna was on?
Yes, she took
Monday,
over Anthony's. Yeah, she took over Anthony's place since Anthony blew us off for the Blue Man Group.
Oh yeah, the Blue Man Group. Who are those guys, man? Why that? So anyway, but that was pretty special. And your dad is an incredible talent as well, and it was fun talking with you guys. And like I said, we'll have to do it again. We might have to go back to the museum or something. Maybe we'll do it at NAMM. I don't know. We're just kind of spitballing right now, but it was pretty fun stuff, dude. And I've seen you guys grow and become just this amazing group. So congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunities that you've thrown our way, man. We really appreciate that.
Well, you guys are family, and that's actually we like to joke here. Once you've been on the radio show, you've been jumped into this network, and you have to be jumped out to leave. So,
fair enough.
So anyway, with that said, this segment is all about how do we stalk you, and that's kind of what we want to do right now. We want to know about the Satellite's website, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. Any other new stuff that you can think of that's these new social medias, the smoke signal, SOS type of, way to connect. I don't know. Tell us about how we can connect with you.
Okay. So midnightsatellites.com is the website for Midnight Satellites. We obviously have a Facebook page as well, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. If you just Google Midnight Satellites, you can pretty much find all of that. We have our shows listed on there, as well as, our couple albums that we've come out with. The Crooked Stones, you can find at thecrookedstones.bandcamp.com. That's where we'll have our music, as well as, we will be getting shirts soon that'll be up there. And you can find that on Facebook.
Awesome merch.
And same thing with Darkhaven. Darkhavenmusic.bandcamp.com is where we have our whole, all the albums. There's quite a bit of material there. And we will have our T-shirts up on that some point this week. Probably tomorrow we'll have those available to be purchased online as well.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. Great.
Hey, and Brennan, let me jump in real quick. Brennan, let me ask this question. I'm going to ask this to Florentino also. If the listeners out there mention that they heard Brennan on Jackie's Groove and Nerd Talk Radio Network, Brennan, can you offer them like a couple bucks off a shirt and kind of get a nice pull there to find out exactly how much draw we're going to pull from you? Find out from your partners if that's okay. Then let us know that.
Yeah.
And then you can put it up on your site also. Not a giveaway, because we're not here for our looks. Well, some of us are. But the fact of the matter
Brennan
is,
can qualify for that. He can be for that.
Absolutely. You and I, my friend, no. And to do it that way. And also, Brendan, I want to throw out there, too, please also, you guys are on the YouTube, also look at Soundtown Records. That's Nick Seiwert's studio, and he's the drummer for Midnight Satellites. He's got a lot of the Midnight Satellites projects up on his site, so I want to check that out also. Florentino, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's it. That's it. You did a great job at kind of directing all that fun stuff. Jackie will be now CEO of the company, and he'll be leading the whole charge.
Absolutely.
No, I'm super happy for you guys, man. You guys keep doing it. And you know, we should give a shout out. Sal's got a thing coming up. I mean, I know this is not a Sal show, but he's got that thing coming up this week, and I got to give him a call back about that. But you guys, we got a lot of events that are happening, so make sure you tune in. The one that it's official, Jackie, actually, as of this weekend. Jackie he's helping to promote a big event over at the Newport Dunes. So anybody who is in Southern California, it's going to be a huge event. Our good friend Buddy Brunell with Virgil Donati and Mitch Foreman and Julian Coryell, Larry Coryell's son, are going to be doing Feast Infusion at the on October 14th at the Newport Dunes Bistro, and it's going to be presented and promoted by Jackie's Groove Radio Show, and of course, Enter Talk Radio is powering a live stream of this event. But it's kind of a new thing that we're doing here. We're really kind of putting an extra dimension to these concerts by adding a food component. Buddy Brunell is a top chef, and he is. I've had a chance to taste his food personally, and it's amazing. He learned in the south of France, through some very affluent schools and hotels.
Right.
And that was while he was growing up in the business. When he left, he still carried on with his passion for cooking, and he's going to be designing the menu for that night and helping to present this, this culinary
We like to call it a gustatorial orgasm is what we want to call it.
There you go. Jackie's version.
It's all about music and so on. And to finish up, Florentino, we want to get a shout out to Brian Ross for making this happen for us also.
Oh, yeah.
And don't forget, Mr. Florentino, don't forget something very, very, there's a young guitar player that we're heavily involved in this coming Friday at the San Diego Civic Theater, actually the Balboa Theater in San Diego. His name is Al DiMiola. You may have heard of him. So that's when we'll see each other's faces there. I just got a text from him. I'll talk to you offline about that.
Okay,
So
cool.
With that said, let's get back to the youngin' who's going to be the next Al DiMiola, in my personal opinion, but less cocky. You hear that, Al? And so with that said, Florentino, I'm going to get back to this last 5.5 minutes with Brennan.
Brennan, have a good rest of your show, and same thing with you, Jackie.
Thank you. Good talking to you, man.
All right. So now let me ask you this question, Brennan. I ask this to everybody. I don't care if you're a prolific guitar player like Al DiMiola or if you're a emerging artist. I'm going to ask the same question to you. Actually, it's a question by your sister, Caprice, because she came up with this question, and the interviewees love it. So let me throw it to you. If Brennan Kilpatrick was not teaching music, playing music, writing music, producing music, not even anything to do with the music industry at all, what would you be doing?
Well, I was a really big nerd growing up. I played. I wasted so much time playing video games. Yeah, and I still do, not as much as I used to. But I maybe would have tried to get into some form of that in like the gaming industry. I remember at a certain point I did actually look into trying to get like a game testing job or something like that. That seems to be the entry point into that. But music kind of ended up taking over, and I just went that route. But I would say it would probably be something in that realm.
And it's so weird that you said that, because my best friend, Paul Parker, who is the head animator for Sony, and he just got back from 6 weeks in Amsterdam working with a big company called Gorilla. And their biggest show, biggest now is called Uncharted. That's brought to you by Sony. So be jealous, Brennan. He is amazing. And so with that said, let me ask you this question. Here's my question, brother. And I want you, as I know, and I say this with steadfast, I know exactly where I was and what day it was and what song it was when I heard myself on the radio for the first time, and that never gets old. So let me throw it back to you. Where were you? What were you doing? And what were you sharing or thinking? And share with the audience when you heard yourself on the radio for the first time. Give us your feelings about that.
Okay, this is kind of funny. So it was definitely a Dark Haven song. I believe it was Infernal. And we had entered into this Q1033 competition. It was like a battle of the bands type thing. And I remember they played our song. I had to go out to my car. I didn't have a radio inside my house I could listen on, so I had to go out to my car and turn my car on to listen. And Mikey Dillinger's a good friend. He still hosts the morning show there. He kind of talked to us after the fact, and as you know, Darkhaven it's heavy stuff. It's melodic death metal, so unfortunately, that's not an acceptable form of music on a lot of mainstream music forums. And he got a lot of slack for playing our song. And off the record, he said that we technically won the competition, but he couldn't give it to us because he wasn't allowed to play our stuff on the radio anymore. So that was the first time I heard our stuff on the radio. It was a one and done thing, but it was nice.
Did you get choked up at all, man? And don't be afraid to answer that, because I'll tell you right now, your boy Jackie, I was crying like a fool. The first time that was some craziness. I remember and that was back in 1991. The first time I heard myself on the radio with Henry Capono and Michael McDonald. Blows me out of the water to this day. And I tell everybody, once you've had that benefit, once you've had that chance to hear yourself on the radio, man, scream it out of your lungs, man, because you know what, to this day, after all these years, it never gets old. And trust me, brother, with your talent, and I firmly believe that, man, you're going to be hearing a lot more of yourself on the radio. And is exactly why I have you here on my show. And let me ask you this question, brother. And I really put this out there. As you said before, a band is like a marriage. Eventually it goes a longevity, or someone's got to kick somebody out of the bed, because it just becomes no more. It doesn't become fun anymore. I noticed a lot lately, and I mean this is a positive, when I see you with Nick and with Mike and with Sal, called Midnight Satellite or MSATs, you guys look like you're having more fun than you've had in a long time. Am I correct on saying that? Give me a quick answer.
Yeah, I think you are. You know better than most people. How much we put into the Past, Present, Future album, and there was drama, there were problems, and I think we had a lot of internal issues that were kind of allowed to fester for a long time. And when those really, when all that came to a head, it was pretty tough. We kind of barely held it together there. So when Mike joined, Mike Garza was just this super positive force. I think he kind of picked everybody's spirits up a little bit, and we just kind of refocused. We tried to take things a little less seriously, take some of the pressure off of ourselves, and just have fun and enjoy performing with each other. So I think you're definitely correct that we're having a lot more fun now,
and not to mention Mike's Mike's a fucking freak. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that. Mr. Garza, you need some serious mental help, my friend, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And because you're nothing like your father, Robert, man. So I have to throw it out to you. Love you, brother. Hey, so with that said, 30 seconds left, man. Brennan, thank you from the Intertalk Radio family, from the Bertoni family, and thank your father, man. I'll thank him personally, as I've always done, for introducing me to the heads of NAMM and the history of music itself, the NAMM Museum. So with that said, guys, I'm babbling here. I'm getting ready to go. Say goodnight. And I want to thank you, brother, from the bottom of my heart. No, you can't. You have 5 seconds to say what you got to say. Quickly.
We got a Crooked Stone show on October 21st. We have a Midnight Satellite show this Wednesday at Franklin's Cove. Both of them are at Franklin's Cove. And I just want to thank all the bandmates, Sal, Brandon, Mike, Nick, Nate, Jordan, Hunter, everybody I'm jamming with.
Love you guys.
Now. Sponsors, Darren Mercer, you the man. Love you, Jackie.
Love you guys.
Thanks for having me, man.
I got to cut you off, man. Peace, brother. Peace through music. We'll talk soon. Love you, brother.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.